a GREENPOINT Williamsburg Public Affairs presentation. This is Neighborhoods Today.
Our first segment features a grassroots dance ensemble better known as the Polish-American Folk Dance Company. Though technically not professional, there's nothing amateurish about the way they do things. For over 50 years, they've managed to preserve and perpetuate their folklore through song and dance. They have shared their heritage and culture with Poles and non-Poles alike. And in the process, they've endeared themselves not only to the community, but to all who've seen them.
You'd think that in today's trendy world of overnight fashion and disposable culture, keeping a several hundred-year-old folk heritage alive wouldn't be easy. But for the Polish-American Folk Dance Company of Greenpoint, Brooklyn, it isn't difficult at all. As a matter of fact, they've been doing it for the past 50 years. And as you can see behind me, they're still doing it, and with great success. Now, I spoke to the company's director, Stanley PELC, to get a little bit more information about the company and a little bit information as to how the company has managed to become such a force in the community. Stanley, let's begin with a brief historical overview. Can you tell me who's credited with the company's creation and what the impetus was for its inception?
The company was created in 1938, and it was created by Frances Wesołowska. Her married name is Popławska. And it happened that in 1938, there was political turmoil starting in Europe. Poland was threatened, and there was a tremendous wave of patriotism here in the United States, and Frances's way of combating it was to try to create schools where she could teach Polish dance and song to children of American backgrounds. Mm-hmm. And it's been a success. Here we are 50 years later.
Well, I'll say so. I'm kind of curious about your involvement with the company, which spans over a 20-year period, and I'm sure our viewers...
36, but who's counting?
Oh, excuse me, 36, that's right, but who's counting? And I'm sure our viewers are curious about your background and how you became involved with the company. Can you talk a little bit to us about that?
I joined the company with my sister, like I said, 36 years ago, and simply because it was next door. That's basically how it started. Plus, I needed some medical attention on my legs. I had very bad ankles when I was a small child, and that's what the doctor recommended, some kind of physical exercise. Mm-hmm. And this was next door. Mm-hmm. And here we go, 36 years later, my ankles are still terrible. But I'm still here. And so is my sister.
Now, how did you go from being a member of the company to becoming the company's director?
In 1968, when Frances decided to retire from active teaching, the group had dwindled down to just a handful of people. I think in the early 60s, and I became very involved in the administrative end of the group, managing it, try to raise funds. Since we were a not-for-profit organization even way back then, it just was a natural progression. I think I just became very strong, very powerful in there, and I liked the dancing, and I always had input into the choreography end of it towards Frances' last few years. Mm-hmm. And one thing led to another. December 68, she said thank you and goodbye, and we just took it from there. And we did a whole turnover, transformation on the company.
Mm-hmm. As the company's director, what kind of path did you envision leading your flock down, so to speak?
The one thing we definitely wanted to do was we knew we had to create a new goal. The company could no longer exist on its old goals, which was just to teach simple dances to children. Mm-hmm. We now knew in the late 60s, that was when everybody was going back to their ethnic backgrounds, ethnic researching. And we decided at that time that we were going to delve into research back in Poland, into costumes, as well as more material for dance presentations. Mm-hmm. And we went to Europe, we did a lot of research, came back, and we started creating a company, a performing ensemble with training levels that would naturally feed young people into the company.
Mm-hmm. If someone were to walk through your rehearsal space, I really don't think they would be able to help notice the incredible amount of plaques and awards on your walls here. Can you tell us a little bit about what these awards mean and the kind of honors the company has received, as well as yourself?
We've been very fortunate, especially on our trips to Europe. We've received all sorts of acknowledgments and diplomas for choreography, for our efforts here in the United States presenting Polish culture to the American public. We even have a certificate from a sister dance company in Hungary officially claiming us as sister companies, and that is a friendship that has lasted now almost 12 years. In 1979, we received the Oscar Kohlberg Award. That is awarded by the Polish government to ensembles outside of Poland for their research in Polish ethnography and their follow-through in presentation of it. And in 1980 is when I was awarded the Merit of Culture by the Polish government as well. In fact, I have it here for you to look at. That was a real surprise when that one came through.
It's lovely.
That was presented at the consulate here in New York City.
Stanley, you've managed to somehow take this company and mold it into the type of organization which has been applauded for sharing its culture with young American Poles, and not only that, with non-Poles as well. And I'm wondering how, at the same time, you've managed to keep the company on a local level and continue to get young people involved, especially young people from the community.
We're a very visible organization. That's been a very positive image for us. We've always done more than dance. We teach handcrafts, we do exhibits, we do non-Polish type performances. We've done expositions of the Merry Widow, cotillion balls, a big Hawaiian suite. It's little things like this that have just added into the company's aura, if you will, and that's what draws the people. There are so many young people out there who want to be involved in something, and they are of Polish background, but they just don't want to lock themselves into a limited organization, and we do offer a tremendous range of activities for the people.
For the average person, the urge to dance may be present, but hidden, and it takes a special kind of teacher to bring that strength out. That task falls to Danny Giadura, the company's assistant choreographer.
When a new member wants to join the dance company, the first thing I like to do is to bring them into the rehearsal studio and just get them comfortable with moving. A lot of people are very shy about doing any kind of body movement, anything. If they need to extend themselves in any way, they get very nervous. So the first thing I try to do is to get them comfortable, comfortable moving in front of me, because everyone's always a little bit shy about moving in front of someone. So I like to get them comfortable moving with me and with the other people in the room. And once they get comfortable moving, then it's just a matter of getting them acquainted with the steps, teaching them what's the right way of moving your arm and what's the right thing to do with your foot. I first started dancing when I was in the 3rd grade. I went to a Saturday Polish school where we learned the language and the culture and the history, and part of that was dancing. I remember when I was a little kid, I was standing watching the other children performing because I wasn't dancing at the time, and I said to myself, gee, that's something I really want to do. And so that's when I started. I started back in the 3rd grade. When I graduated from the 8th grade, I came right to the dance group here because the director of our dance group, Stanley Peltz, was the teacher at that time of the school that I was going to. So when I graduated there, I came right here. A lot of my training began as soon as I came here, just from the other people in the group, sort of informal training. My real training began when I went to Poland in 1983. I went to a course in Lublin, Poland, for instructors of Polish folk dance. And there I learned about the music, about the dances, the orchestra, all aspects of Polish folk dancing. I started using it a little bit at a time. When I came back after my 2nd year in Poland, I started teaching the classes for the new members who would come in. And it was in January of '88 that I was made assistant choreographer. And so I had a bigger say of what kinds of dances we do, what we include in the dances, the different forms that we do. If someone wanted to join the dance company and they were just a little bit unsure about how well they would do, the first thing I would say to them is to just relax, because a lot of the mistakes happen when you get tense, when you get nervous. And of course, as soon as you get nervous, your body gets stiff. First thing I would say, I know it's difficult to do sometimes, but just relax and know that you can do it. A lot of people come here and they just don't know. They're so unsure of themselves because they see the other people who've been doing it for 10 and 15 years and they do it so easily. And the first thing out of everyone's mouth is, wow, I can't do that. You know, look at them and look at me. So I just tell them to relax and know that you can do it. Have faith in yourself.
And of course, a dance company would be nothing without its dancers. And in this company, none of the dancers are professional or get paid. They're either full-time students or a part of the working world. So what, you might ask, does the company offer them that they can't find anywhere else? What is it about the dance company that keeps bringing you back?
I've never left, so it doesn't bring me back, but I guess it's a cultural addiction. It's something I've been doing ever since I was a little older than Richie. Probably from my godmother's wedding when I was 4, when I started dancing. It never left my blood, so I kept on doing it. Plus, I try to keep in shape.
For me, it's a link to my Polish heritage. I'm an American of Polish descent, existing in a very cosmopolitan atmosphere in New York. But I never want to lose sight of the fact that I'm of Polish descent, which is again, very close to my heart. But it's easy to lose that in New York because Poles are a minority group here too, and I'm just as proud of my heritage as someone else's of theirs. I was lucky enough to have my culture and my background passed on to me by my parents and my grandparents. I'd like to have that opportunity to pass that on to my children someday too.
The pride and heritage proudly embodied through the company's repertoire are also evident in the costumes each dancer sports at performances. And almost all their costumes have been sewn and painstakingly assembled by the dancers and their families. Now that might not be so spectacular, except for the fact that the company can boast of over 500 sets of costumes, totaling 3,000 separate pieces. And just as the dance represents a specific region of Poland, so does the costume, each as vividly colorful and diverse as the one before it. Wonderful.
Thank you.
And this, by the way, is Halina Kalitka, the company's musical accompanist. As a matter of fact, she's been playing for and with the company for the past 18 years now. Halina, tell us a little bit about the piece we just heard.
Well, that was the Krakowiak, which is one of our national dances. It's known to all Poles because the minute you see it danced on the stage, everybody's spirits just lift up along with the dancers.
Oh, it sounded great. Also with me is Majka Koncevich, another one of the company's assistant choreographers. And Majka, you've brought a demonstration couple with you. What are we going to be seeing?
Yes, I brought Helene and Larry, and they are going to show us the basic steps and formations in Krakowiak, which Halina talked about it. So Halina, if you please. They are doing basic Krakowiak step, which really represents a galloping horses. Look at those arms. They are nice and straight, stretch up, very, very nice and tall appearance on the upper part of the body. They should be looking at each other because it's like flirting. The boy and the girl should be flirting all the time. And we are doing slides and different steps. However, we also bring some lifts, as you just have seen. Larry's bringing Haline up tall above his head and continue sliding. The stretch arm is very tall. And here we go, finished. Thank you.
All successful community groups have one thing in common, bringing people together. And in that respect, the Polish-American Folk Dance Company is doubly successful. It binds the cultures of the older generation and the young, and it asks the men and women of a far-off land to share in the pride of countless generations and join hands with their brothers and sisters right here in the Greenpoint community. For Neighborhoods Today, I'm REENA Marie, and this is the Krakowiak.
REENA, does the dance company limit itself to where it dances and for whom?
Absolutely not, Dick. As a matter of fact, it seems as if the company has performed just about everywhere, from local dances to aristocratic debutante balls at the Waldorf Astoria and Hotel Pierre. And as for whom they've performed, well, how about Pope John Paul II? They've also performed for Princess Grace of Monaco and even Basha Johnson of the Johnson & Johnson fortune. And they've also performed at Lincoln Center, City Center, the New Jersey Garden State Arts Center, as well as all over the tri-state area, the West Coast, and of course, even Europe. They managed to get around.
Crime happens, but where it happens and who becomes the victim can be influenced by you and your community. As the eyes and ears of their neighborhoods, Block Watch programs assist police by reporting suspicious activity.
I'm witnessing a theft from a vehicle.
To learn more about crime prevention in your neighborhood, contact your local police department or the Block Watch Society of BC.
It seems the G-train dilemma hasn't dissipated, nor have the questions surrounding the tunnel which terminates service at Court Square in Long Island City. To fill you in on what's been happening, here's REENA Marie with an update.
Almost 100 years old and undergoing its first major overhaul in decades, the New York City subway system is planning a strong comeback with an ambitious program of renovation and expansion. It will culminate in the projected opening of the 63rd Street Crosstown line in 1989. Planning has already begun on the expanded 23rd Street Eli Avenue station, which will connect with the 63rd Street line at the site of the new City Corps building. This is a spearhead project intended to lead the exodus of white-collar businesses from Manhattan into the outer boroughs. But one of the areas of concern for the neighboring community of Greenpoint is G-train service from Brooklyn. This line carries several thousand passengers a day into Queens and transfer points to Manhattan. But under the new system, the G will cease its local Queens run at the Court Square station in Long Island City. Passengers would then be required to walk through a 350-foot tunnel to the new Eli Avenue station to transfer to the 63rd Street line. This project is part of a plan to lure businesses away from Manhattan and link the 63rd Street line to an operable station. But it has also brought with it a substantial amount of controversy. I'm standing at the Court Square train station in Long Island City. Behind me is the site of the new 42-story City Corps building. It's also the site of a 350-foot tunnel which will link the complex with this station right here at Court Square. But the construction of that tunnel and its implications have aroused quite a bit of concern in Greenpoint. The community's Republican district leader, Dr. Leon NADROWSKI, voiced his constituents' concerns over the question of tunnel safety.
When you build a tunnel between Court Square Station and 23rd Street Eli Avenue Station, you have, let's say, 350 feet in length and about, I don't even know what the exact width is, but I'd say it'd be about 25, 30 feet. It's a narrow kind of a tunnel. And today, with the crime crisis at its peak in the city and the concern of going in subways, the fact of having a tunnel built that people have to use, besides the inconvenience, our community has called it a tunnel of doom. They call it a muggish tunnel. They're fearful. They're even concerned about just going in the subway itself, let alone just going through a tunnel. So we feel any kind of tunnel being built, and they say there's going to be security. They said perhaps maybe the toll booth gentleman or lady will be watching. That means nothing. And to have a policeman down there constantly probably wouldn't occur anyway. And so they're concerned. The community is extremely concerned.
MTA spokesperson Bob Praviti, on the other hand, says the tunnel's architecture addresses the issue of security and safety.
Greenpoint will be able to try out the tunnel long before any service would be possibly cut off at Court Square. Trains will continue to go into Continental well into the 1990s, and this passageway should probably open sometime in '89 or 1990. You'll be able to try out the corridor. You'll be able to see firsthand for yourself if the safety is going to be any kind of a problem. We're installing closed-circuit TV, and the token booth and the whole design of the passageway is such that it takes into account the modern ways of designing corridors so that you don't put in a hidden corner for criminals to hide. In fact, it's even in the daytime going to be open to open-air light, sunshine coming into the passageway. The token booth is located directly in the center. There are no hidden corridors or passageways like in Times Square. So to compare it to Times Square is just completely unfair. The best comparison probably would be something along the lines of Rockefeller Center. And even there, it's a more direct sightline from Court Square directly to Eli Avenue.
The second issue at hand is the question of ending G service right here at Court Square. And at least one Greenpoint resident has expressed his outrage at the proposed change and inevitable inconveniences.
Now, this young man who said that if he has to go to work, he gets off at Court Square in the morning during the rush hour, goes through the tunnel if it's forced upon him. Then he gets up at Eli to get to New York. And then he has to wait for the car from Queens Plaza, the E&F line, and with the rush and there's a crunch already at Queens Plaza, then you're going to have a problem to even get on the line at Eli.
It's too much traffic going through Queens Plaza area to have the GG also terminated at Queens Plaza. By cutting it back to Court Square, passengers will be able to transfer to the E and the F, and there'll be one stop from Manhattan. The basic flow will be eased at Queens Plaza because there'll be two tunnels into Manhattan instead of one, so passengers will find it less congested to get on at Eli Avenue.
The ultimate consequences of Citicorp's new building and the linking of MTA's 350-foot tunnel via this station remains to be seen. Now, the MTA spokesperson has said that ultimately Greenpoint and its residents will have the final say regarding the fate of this tunnel. But on the other hand, the community's Republican district leader has asserted that once this tunnel is built, the community will have no say in the matter. From Long Island City, I'm REENA Marie.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Don't make yourself a victim. Stay alert. Keep electronic devices out of sight. Call 911.
That's it for this edition. I'm Dick Mahan for Neighborhoods Today. We hope you'll join us again, and we thank you for watching.